So, if you're anything like me, you might be getting a little sick of online guitar culture, of bite-sized little shred examples, of advertisements for the cage system that's going to help you map out the fretboard perfectly, seemingly overnight. Today, I want to share with you the antidote to all that, which are my 5 favorite guitar books. And these are books that preach long-term study, of lifelong study. And I think they're really beautiful and well-written books that have humor and a lot of wisdom in them. Some of them I've been using for 15 years, and some of them are kind of new to me, but have a really similar ethos to my long-standing favorites. I'm excited to share them with you today. Here we go. First up, the greatest of all time, The Advancing Guitarist by Mick Goodrick. And I've had this book probably since 2009, so just around 15 years. I bought it at the Berklee College of Music bookstore when I was there as a student one summer for the 5-week program. And everyone told me I needed to get this book, and they were so right, because it just deals with everything that's relevant to playing guitar. It deals with the emotional, psychological, with the nitty-gritty, the technical elements. It deals with rhythm, with composition, and Mick's voice as a guitar player and author is so clear in this, and it's really funny. It's not heavy at all. I mean, it's heavy with knowledge, but it's not stern. And I think that's what I love about it, is it's just super inviting. And I want to share Mick's little intro to the book, because I think it's really beautiful. This is a do-it-yourself book. It's not a method book. You supply the method, you do it yourself. I may make some suggestions along the way, point out some things that seem important or relevant. But what you do with it is entirely your own business. It's totally up to you. Don't depend on anyone but yourself for your own musical growth. Then there's some more, and then finally at the end, he concludes with this. By itself, a book has absolutely no value. It's a dead thing. But in conjunction with a living human being who can understand, work, and grow, a book can be very useful. I'm saying that you are what's valuable, not the book. I've taken the time to supply the book. You take the time to supply you. Then we'll both be happy. Guaranteed. Best wishes, Mick Goodrick. Get this book, folks. If you're a budding jazz guitarist, or even just interested in improvising at the guitar, getting to know the guitar better, it's actually not just targeted for improvisers. It's just about getting to know the guitar in a fundamental way. Harmony, rhythm, melody, articulation, all the goods are in here. Moving along now to Modern Chord Progressions by Ted Greene. Now, most people think of Ted Greene's book, Chord Chemistry, as being his most famous book, which it undoubtedly is. But this is actually the first one that I got. I don't know why I picked this one over Chord Chemistry, but I'm not sorry that I did, because it's a really amazing book. What I love about it is that, first of all, it's in Ted's beautiful manuscript. I love this. It's just some mad scientist stuff. The idea is it's a bunch of variations on like a 1-6-2-5 or a 2-5-1 or 3-6-2-5. These common jazz chord progressions, and he just writes them. He'll write maybe 5 or 6 examples in the key of D flat, and then move on to a different key, and you just play through these voicings. And he has this very idiosyncratic way of writing when you have moving parts in a chord. That's really easy to pick up. And I think if you don't read music, this is a really good book for you, because everything's written in chord diagrams. And it's just a beautiful book to pick up and just start playing out of if you're not feeling inspired, or you don't really know how to practice chords and voice leading and melodies. Just getting these chord progressions under your fingers will really help. And there's not a lot of understanding that you need to just pick this book up and start playing out of it. So highly recommend. Get some of this amazing flowing harmony under your fingers. Up next, we have The Improviser's OS by Wayne Krantz. This is my smudged up copy. I had it as a young college student, and I took it around everywhere for a little while when I was working on it deeply every day. This book really helped me once I learned all the fundamentals of the fretboard, like my arpeggios and my scales and my modes, all the building blocks. It helped me think about those a lot more critically and a lot more creatively, as opposed to kind of just like plugging and playing these scales into chords. This book really asks you to think about, how does the ninth sound over a root? How does the sharp nine sound? What if you had a scale with a sharp nine and a nine in it? And it's sort of very creative combinations of tones that don't necessarily organically happen in a scale, but you can create any kind of artificial scale that you want and just try it as a group of notes. And he calls these group of notes formulas. So sometimes you'll just be playing a 4-note scale like C, D flat, F, and G flat, which doesn't really have a name, but it has a vibe if you keep just using these 4 notes. And you can make chords out of these 4 notes. You can make little melodies, and it really is a testament to the power of limitations, because 7-note scales are pretty big. 7 notes is a lot to work with. So what if you worked with only 3 or 2 or a 4-note scale, you know? So I'm going to read the intro from this book because I think it's also gives a good insight on the philosophy behind it. To invent, the slate must be clean. Out goes the rock, the jazz, the funk, the blues, to be added later, if desired, by design, not by default. Along with idiom, heroes are respectfully dismissed. Imitation of an artist is contrary to what the artist stands for, innovation. Tradition brought us here, and that's enough. It need not occupy our thoughts and actions any more or less than our own birth. Rhythm, melody, harmony, and sound, free of generic reference, idolatry, and derivative affectation, are expressions of the self. Beautifully put. Check this one out. Enjoy. This book came in the mail last year when I saw that the amazing guitarist Gore had written a book. It's called The Subversive Guitarist. And I wonder if it's a nod to Mick's book a little bit, because it covers a lot of the same territory with a lot of humor. It's quite vast, and it's really amazing if you value the things that Joe does, which is creativity, tone, sound, experimentation, and innovation at the guitar. He covers a lot of stylistic ground, from jazz players, soul singers, drummers. It's really just a deep book that you can start at any point, and find something that's interesting to you. It's in the form of like several, dozens of discrete articles, kind of like you'd see in Premier Guitar. So it's got like tabbed out examples of everything. But he talks about so much fascinating stuff, and I think this is good. This really helped me because it flips a lot of common ideas upside down. He asks you to do some uncomfortable things. One of the exercises that I love from this book, and I think it encapsulates the spirit of the book, is the Cowboy Chord Challenge, where he asks you to play like a C chord or a D chord or a G chord without your first finger. And doing little things like that just kind of sparks new life into how to practice. He also talks about fingerstyle guitar, about bending, Bach, voice leading. It's just chock full of good stuff. And Joe plays on a lot of my favorite Tom Waits records, and that's how I kind of discovered him. And you can hear a lot of that goes into how he approaches playing on records too. So if you're a fan of Joe Gore, if you're a fan of creative, subversive guitar ideas, this is the book for you. Last but not least, I wanted to give a shout out to my friends Ethan Sherman and Adam Levy. This is such a cool book. It's called String Theories. It came out last year. And it's a very conversational book. It's very practical, and the structure of it I think is really unique, and I haven't really seen a book like this. If you're a beginner to jazz, you'll love this because it really deals with the practical, like, what do I do when I'm in this situation or that situation? What do I do if I'm playing in a guitar duo? What happens when I'm playing in a trio? Do I need to play less chords with the trio or more chords? How do I comp for another guitar player? How do I comp if there's a singer? It's just really practical. And what I love about it is that for many of the pieces of advice in here and the concepts, there's a short term, medium term, and long term expression of what that goal would look like if you were to work on it, which I think is incredible because as guitar players, especially younger guitar players, we can have this like really short term view of like, okay, I want to have this skill down by next month. And this gives you that. This gives you the next month, what you can hope to accomplish with this idea, what it might look like in a year, what it might look like in 10 years. And along with that, there's really amazing album recommendations, which is really helpful to sort of keep in your mind and in your ears, the famous records that make the music what it is. Ethan and Adam both have, little blurbs that pop up on each page with personal advice. So you really get a good sense of their personality in this book. And the information is just, it's so good. It's a mix of kind of verbal information. There's some examples written out in standard notation and guitar diagrams. It's an inspiration machine. So dig into this, check it out. It just came out, and I'll have a link to it below. Thanks so much for watching this video. Let me know if you dug any of these books before, or if these are new to you and you're going to go buy them. I love guitar books. I'm a nerd, and I hope you do too. Thanks for checking this out. Subscribe if you haven't. This really helps grow my channel, and I'll see you the next one.